Hey, this is Ciderhelm. We're going to be talking about Kha'Zix today, and he is the new champion they just released on the PBE, and he'll be released within the next couple weeks, most likely, onto the live servers. He's a little bit conceptually like Rengar, but mechanically not very similar at all. So here's what you need to know about him. He's primarily physical damage. He does scale with bonus attack damage primarily instead of a total attack damage, where the difference being is you actually need to build attack damage items or runes, masteries, etc. to benefit from bonus attack damage scaling. It doesn't incorporate all of your base attack damage. So he is someone who is probably going to be played more offensively, or at least is designed with the intent of him being played more offensively. So he's a little bit of a bruiser, assassin, ambusher, jungler, whatever you want to, however you want to see him. We'll see from the pros how he's played at high level and in tournaments. I'm not sure exactly how he's going to be played or the optimal builds right now, but of course we never really are when a champion hasn't quite been released or finished with the tuning. So he's got great movement speed, 325 base. Now I have boots here, so it's a little bit faster, but he does have a base movement speed of 325. That is on the upper end of champions. So that's very, very good to see, and it is important because he does need to be able to get into melee range. He does need to be able to engage quickly and get in a fight quickly to snare you, etc. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on further. And he has a decent attack here, so not like totally solid, but you can still pretty easily last hit. Let's go ahead and jump into his abilities. So I'm going to start with the passive, and then I'm going to talk about the ultimate because they're important to understanding his other abilities. So the passive, very, very simple. Unseen Threat. When Kha'Zix is not visible to the enemy team, he gains Unseen Threat, causing his next basic attack against an enemy champion to deal 85 plus whatever bonus magic damage, and slow by 35% for 2 seconds. So this gives you a good chunk of bonus magic damage on your attacks. It does scale with ability power, but generally speaking, you're not going to want to be building any ability power on him, at least not primarily, though you might get it on something like a Sheen if you go that route. And let's go ahead and look at the mechanics of how this works. It's actually very, very simple. Now, when I originally read this, I was thinking, okay, so I have to use an auto attack while I'm currently stealth, or while they currently can't see me, because Unseen Threat, if I'm seen, how can I be more of a threat? But that's actually not how it works at all. All I have to do, I'm going to go ahead and attack here. Don't be too distracted by all the flashing things here. They don't actually mean anything. So that was a normal attack. I got off the bonus magic damage, and I got off the snare, slowed my target. But all I have to do to refresh this, jump into a bush, and it stays up. So I can just walk back out and do this. So juking, getting out of vision, going into bushes, etc. All that stuff is going to be important to using your passive effectively. So now let's look at the next ability. This is Void Assault, and this is not the next ability. This is the ultimate. You're going to get this level 6, 11, 16, all the standard stuff. 100 mana. Ranking up Void Assault allows Kha'Zix to evolve one of his abilities. So this is a pretty critical thing. Let's go ahead and use it. Of Evolution. This is what they've been touting. Level it, and then suddenly my leveling up is replaced with I have to evolve abilities. I have to choose one of these. And in fact, if I keep leveling, if I hit level 10, in this case I'm level 9 already, but if I keep leveling, I can't actually invest any points into my abilities right now unless I evolve a skill. So that's important. You can't just hold on to it and figure out what you want to do a little later. So let's go and evolve in Large Claws. Now watch my dull little blades here. Watch what happens to them. Not that exciting, but there's an animation. You can cancel the animation just fine. Oh, but now they're big and shinier and translucent. And that's all that happened to him. Okay, so the evolution affects your ability in a positive way. It does something cool with it. Do you have an evolution? Go ahead and use it on your ultimate again. Anera, my wife here, has just evolved her ultimate. So let's talk about this now. We just talked about the evolution, now let's talk about the active and the evolved version of the ultimate. The active, stealths for 1 second, activates Unseen Threat and increases Kha'Zix's movement speed by 40%. Void Assault can be cast a second time within 10 seconds. So this is pretty simple. It lets you stealth twice within a 10-second period of time. Really easy to activate. Can't be targeted while you're in this, unless somebody has oracles or whatever. You're not going to get targeted by like a Taric stun or anything. You can still get hit with it. It's just a normal stealth. You can still get hit with, you know, Stray Morgana bindings, Lux bindings, things like that. It's not going to be like this amazing. It doesn't pop any projectiles, anything like that. But it is just a very, very quick stealth. And you move much faster while it's happening. That's important because it allows you to quickly get on an opponent and slow them with your passive. So here's my wife. She's going to use it 3 times in quick succession. And this is the evolved version of it. So the evolved version, you get to use it 3 times. Now here's what's cool about the evolved version. Kha'Zix takes 40% reduced damage while in stealth. What makes that cool is, okay, let's say your enemy has snowballed. They're pretty hard to deal with. They've gotten oracles, but you're not reliably killing them in exchanges. It's very frustrating for you. So even if that's not the case, if you're just getting focused in team fights or you're really dealing with a lot of burst damage incoming on you, the thing about it is 40% reduced damage. It's essentially, for 3 seconds, a mini shield wall. You can just activate it when you know you're going to take a lot of damage or when you know you need to have that damage reduction, and it's going to be wonderful for that. So that's a great thing about it. There's a slight cooldown in activations. You can't activate it immediately, meaning you can't have like 3 seconds or 2 cases in the 2 seconds in the unevolved case. You do have to wait about 2 seconds in between the stealth before you can activate it again within that 10-second period. Taste Their Fear is the Q. Passively marks enemies who are isolated from nearby allies. So what you're seeing on my screen, what you've been seeing here that may have been distracting, I've got a giant targeting reticule, and I didn't actually get it to work on the default skin. That's actually why we're using the special skins. I have a giant targeting reticule which says this person is isolated. They don't have allied minions, they don't have allied champions, and they don't have allied structures. Allied structures do seem to count for this as well. In fact, let's go check this. Go walk near your structure. There are not minions there at the moment. Oh, it looks like there are. Walk behind your structure. No, now you can go. Now, no. Perfect. Go closer to your structure. Alright. Next to the structure, don't get that. A little ways away you do get it. I just took a lot of damage to just triple check that, because we just saw it on the proving ground, so we didn't actually check it in Summoner's Rift, but it looks like it's identical. If you're right next to a structure, you're good. You're not going to have that extra damage. Now the warning bar that you see popping up here is actually not for me. It's my warning that Inera, who also has leveled the Q, I am isolated. So if you're playing against a Kha'Zix, that's your warning that you are for sure able to be targeted and get, well, here's what it does. Let's talk about the active component of the ability. Active deals 130 plus bonus, and this is going to scale with level, plus bonus physical damage. And the bonus physical damage is based off 1.6. It's a ratio of 1.6 attack damage from your bonus attack damage. So not from your total again, just from your bonus. You need to have attack damage from runes, masteries, or items. If the target is isolated, this is what we're seeing here. The amount is increased to 190, or that's going to change by level, plus 66, which is 2.4 ratio, which is very, very strong. But again, it is off bonus attack damage only, so you do need to have that bonus attack damage, but it is still very, very strong. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for the ability. It has a low cooldown, very low cooldown. You're going to be able to use it multiple times in exchanges. It also has a low mana cost. You're probably not going to run out of mana using this ability in exchange. If you use it too much, you're going to run out of mana. If you're trying to use it all the time to last hit, etc., you're going to run out of mana. But in exchanges, if you save it for that, or you only use it sparingly, you're probably not going to run out of mana using this because it is pretty cheap. Alright, so let's talk about the evolution. Evolved Enlarged Claws, this is what we have right now. Increases damage to isolated enemies by 12% of their missing health, max 200 versus monsters. Increases a range of Taste Their Fear and Kha'Zix basic attacks by 50. Okay, so the first part of this, 12% of their missing health is added on top of the damage you're already doing with this ability. That's an execute ability. It makes it more of an execute ability. As they get lower on health, you're going to deal more damage to them. That's good. That's just straight out across the board good. You're going to deal more damage, especially as they get lower on health. It's more likely to snowball in your favor in one of those one-on-one duels that you rarely see in the late game, but are occasionally very fun to watch. Increases the range of Taste Their Fear and Kha'Zix basic attacks by 50. This is actually really cool. So his base attack range is 125, which is standard for most, not all, but most melee champions. Now, by getting it increased by 50, you bring it up to 175, which is the high end for melee champions. There are only a very few champions, such as Fizz, who can actually do 175 attack range. So what makes this cool? It makes it a lot easier for, say, last hitting, especially with all the minion walls and the pathing issues that are currently going on. Makes it easier to last hit. It makes it easier if you have Unseen Threat, if you have that buff, you're going against a shorter range melee champion, which again is most champions that are melee range. You can hit your Unseen Threat and potentially kite them just a little, get an attack out, and depending on their attack speed, etc., 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 you can potentially actually walk away from them after getting your attack out, and you're going to be just fine. So potentially very good for harass in that sense. It's going to be good for exchange. It's going to be good for just about everything. It's going to be good when you're trying to initiate a fight. You activate your ultimate, get that 40% movement speed, and then you've got a little bit longer of a range on your auto attack, so you're going to be able to make sure that you do get in there, maybe without using your leap or whatever. So again, overall, good evolution. We like this. Void Spike, this is a W. Fires exploding spikes, dealing 75 plus 25 physical damage to all nearby enemies. Again, that's going to scale. Heals Kha'Zix for 40 plus 0 if he is within the explosion radius. So I'm going to go ahead and fire this way out here. In fact, I'm going to just back out here. Missiles. I shot missiles and they were awesome. Okay, so it's a line skill shot. It deals AoE physical damage, and it has a 0.9 bonus attack damage ratio. So it's pretty good, but again, we're talking about bonus attack damage, so it's not great, because when you're getting that low and it's not countering in your base attack damage, it's actually not that incredible of a skill. So in terms of damage output, the other thing this does is when you're right up against an opponent, you can hit it, and if you're in range, it actually heals you. It doesn't heal you for much, and that healing scales on your ability power, which you probably shouldn't have too much of. You might get it from an aura, you might get it from, if you are building a Sheen for whatever reason, for a Trinity Force or whatever, there's reasons you might have a little, but you're probably not going to be wanting to build a lot of dedicated AP on this champion for any reason. So it does scale on ability power. You get a small heal. That's the basics of this ability. Line skill shot AoE. Evolve Spike Racks. Let's go ahead and do our little cool evolution thing. More spikes, in this case more missiles, because of the skin. Okay, now, instead of being a line skill shot, I have a 3-line skill shot. Waha! And by all accounts, it's the same. Except it's not quite the same. This also applies the passive, the Unseen Threat, the debuff which slows your opponent, deals a little bit of magic damage. Consumes Unseen Threat to slow and damage all enemies. Now, this is actually an important one. This is very, very important because you have to understand what you're getting when you evolve this ability. So I fire this ability, and I did not actually apply Unseen Threat at all to my opponent. That's because I don't have it. When it says consumes, it means you must have it to actually consume it. So I'm going out here, I pick it up, and then if I want to slow and I do extra damage to my opponent, I actually have to have it. I applied it there, that's great, and then we'll wait just 1 second, I'll fire off another volley, and unfortunately this time, it doesn't do anything at all in addition to it. So you're getting those 3 missiles, that's good, but keep in mind you must have Unseen Threat to apply Unseen Threat. Now, Void Spike is going to be... It's got a medium cooldown. You aren't really able to spam it, but you're going to be able to get some use out of it. There's a little bit of poke potential, but it does have a high mana cost, and that increases with each level of the spell. So that's something you have to keep in mind. You can use it in exchanges, but you can't use it too often. One of the uses potentially is to clear out minions very quickly, especially if you have it ranked up. You can very easily clear out minions nearby and then get an opponent so they're isolated, deal more potential damage to them. And you're going to get that extra healing out of that too, if they're right next to you. But the main thing is, while this is technically a sustainability, and it's not going to be that bad, it's only going to be good if you're actually able to stay in the lane anyway. If that sustain is going to be enough to keep you in the lane, up in melee, or at least being able to get in the lane safely, then it's going to be okay. But if you're actually actively zoned out of it and you're low health, you can't really realistically do much. You're not going to get enough healing out of it, and you do have to move into range of the explosion of this to actually get the healing out of it. So you have to wait for the minions to get there or whatever. Basically, you cannot use this to get yourself back in a lane, but it can help you stay in a lane. So that's something you have to keep in mind when you're going to be laning, if you are choosing to lane with him. Leap. Leaps to a target area, dealing 100 plus 90 physical damage. Again, this is scaling with bonus attack damage, 0.8 AD ratio. Fairly simple. AoE physical damage. Decent AoE size. And it's a targeted leap, meaning you can use it in escape, you can use it as initiate. It's going to be a very, very good initiate, especially combined with your ult, the movement speed from your ult. Getting in position, getting behind somebody so you're guaranteed to get your passive debuff on somebody. It's going to be good for that. Now, it does have a decently long cooldown. It's not something you're going to be able to use more than once or twice in a fight. If you use the very beginning, you might use it when they're escaping in a bigger team fight. Unless you evolve it. So, go ahead and do your cool evolution. Wings! Now she has wings. So, with wings, what you get with the evolution here is actually a much bigger jump. And actually, let me read it because she's about to kill me, I suspect. Increases Leap's range, makes it much, much bigger than it currently is. So here's my current range. I guess you guys can see that. And it actually just barely goes to the edge of her. And then kills and assists. Think Tristana here. Kills and assists will refresh the cooldown of Leap. Or you can think Katarina, but Tristana's a better example. Alright, go crazy. Awkward. Jump again, jump again, jump again. Wait, I don't see you. What? Oh, because I don't have vision there. Poops. In theory, you should imagine that the cooldown was just refreshed as I died, and she was able to jump away, but you didn't actually see it. But anyway, yeah, you're going to be able to get a lot of damage out that way, especially if you're picking up kills. You get all that damage out, you're able to keep jumping, you're getting all that extra damage out, you're able to get on the people who are trying to escape. Pentakill, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get this amazing pentakill if you evolve your E, and if you don't evolve your E, you're crazy. Right, now, one of the nice things about the Leap is that it will not get interrupted by CC you currently have on you, meaning you will always reach your target, though the CC will still persist once you land. So it's a lot mechanically better than Tristana's and a few other champions with the older mechanic. So go ahead and dazzle me. Even though I'm stunned, I still get behind. I'm still not going to have a problem initiating in this situation, even though I take the rest of that stun. So.
Fear the void.
Alright, then jump away. That was awesome!